Hi, this is Griffith from the Australian, and I'm here with this latest Swedish marvel, the Polestar 2. The Polestar 2 is coming to Australia in early 2022. It's the first Polestar here, and unlike the first model which was available in Europe, this one is a full electric car. It's part of the Volvo group, Polestar. They have their own design, their own management, so it's something really brand new on the market here. Having a first look at it, you can see it's a really stately looking car. At the same time, it's kind of racy and it's a little bit smaller than a big car. It's actually quite easy to maneuver and park. It fits snugly into parking spaces without too much trouble. Normally these cars come with 19-inch alloy wheels, but this one's got a gigantic 20-inch alloy wheels, which gives it a really sporty, racy look. Now this car comes in three varieties. You can get a standard range single motor for $59,900, and that gives you a range of around 440 kilometres. A step up and you get a longer range single motor. That costs you $5,000 more, so that's at $64,900, and you get 540 kilometres, so you get a fair bit more. You can go the full Monty and have dual motors, a motor in the front and the back, and get a huge 300 kilowatts of power, but it brings the range slightly down to a maximum of 480 kilometres. So you've got those three variants, and there are three packs that you can buy. They can cost up to $8,000 if you want extra safety features, assistive features. It's up to you. Now this car has got some really ritzy looking LED lights. They are automatic, so they'll come on at night, they'll come on in the daytime if you're parking in a dark garage. Charging is via this Type 2 charging point here. Polestar gives you this cable which plugs into the wall at home, and you can charge your car up overnight. If you're out on the road and you need a charge, there are plenty of Type 2 chargers around the place. There's no shortage at all. Now this car's got pretty sizable storage at the back, but you've also got this small storage area at the front. I would say that the back area is really well suited to your big pieces of luggage. Up the front here, you'd put your looser items that might otherwise drift around in the back. When you actually come to this storage area and you pull this up, you've got your toolkit area, which is a bit unusual on this car because we can't see any spare tyre here, so it means you're going to have to properly repair a flat tyre in the field. But you do have a pretty huge bottle here of sealant to mend any break, and you've got a compressor here to re-inflate the tyre. As well as those, you've got, for safety reasons, you can erect this triangle here, and that's of course to make sure that everyone can see you if you're by the side of the road. Now for the boot. Polestar 2 has this neat trick. If you're like me, you're carrying a box of goods coming out of a store or shopping centre. What you can do is you can come up to the car and just kick like this, and there we go. It automatically opens. I didn't have to put my box down, and all I need to do is put it inside like that. There's plenty of capacity here. There's 405 litres of it. So if you're going away on a long trip, you'll be able to fit your luggage here. As well as that, we have a 12-volt socket here. So if you've got a car fridge, you can have that plugged in as well. A bit of netting on the side here. There's top tether for child restraints. And we've got this little hatch as well. If you open it from this side and you open it from the other side, you can actually fit your skis in here. Now, in Australia, we normally have skis on roof racks, but in Europe, they like to have their skis with them. And if you put them through here, they can almost go through to your front seat, but they could be full of snow and ice and stuff like that. So you might go for the roof rack yourself. Inside the car, there's a lot of high tech here, but it's not cluttered, which is a really nice thing to be. As you can see, we have two displays. We have our infotainment screen there, and we've got our dash display, which is digital as well. So this can be configured to show you different types of things. Now, what's unique about Polestar is they've created a partnership with Google to make a bespoke version of a display here. So Google has helped create this. If I wanted to ask the Google Assistant how much battery there is left, I can do that. If I want to create a route and see whether I need to get charged along the way, the Google Assistant can look at the battery, can work out how much charge I've got, whether I need to charge along the way, and it can show me a route that includes going to charging stations. It's really quite clever. The other thing we can do is we can use Google voice commands to control the climate system. For example, if we want to hike the temperature up to 25 degrees, we can do it using our voice. Here we have the bird's eye view. I found this to be excellent when I'm trying to reverse or go into a car space. I'm pretty confident that I can do this without hitting an object with this view that the computer synchronizes from overhead as if we've got a camera in the sky. It's amazing. We can actually configure the car and look at some of the performance indicators here. So we can go to the assistant functions and switch them on and off. A lot of times with these cars, people wonder, how do you do this? How do you do that? Well, this car makes it easy because you can see where the toggle switches are straight away. Here we can see how the charge of the car is going at 85% at the moment. Over here, other features are bunched into this more section. So we've got a really nice, easy to follow interface for configuring the car to the way that you actually want it. If we go across to the third item here, we've got apps. This is a Google system, quite separate from your phone. It doesn't matter if you've got an Apple phone or a Google phone. This exists as a totally separate entity from it. Polestar has apps that you can download and add to the screen here. There's not a lot of extra apps there at the moment, but obviously that can develop in time. Even if you've not got a Google phone, you can connect your phone here, like an Apple phone, as I have done, and still make calls or have calls answered, send SMSs and the like. You can use Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. Android Auto is already installed on here. Apple CarPlay will be available next year with an over-the-air download. If you want to actually interact with the car, you're better off using the bespoke system here. Let's look at an example of how the Google system works with this car. Supposing I'm wanting to travel from here to Canberra, I can bring up Google Maps here. I can use the Google Assistant, navigate to Canberra.
Navigating to Canberra.
You might notice here that it's telling us we're going to have to charge the car along the way. In fact, it's given us three options. So I can choose that charging station here with a very fast charging capacity. I choose that, and that's now added to our route. And when we start, it'll take us via that charging station. It'll work out how much charge that we have by the time we get there and how much charge we'll have when we actually reach Canberra, our destination down here. So that's from integrating Google Maps, Google being able to read the battery metrics of the car as well. Now, one of the really interesting things that Polestar's done is it's provided this as a platform for developers. So developers can come along and make new apps for Polestar, which then can be added to here. So, for example, a tourist organisation might have tourist notes at waypoints along the way, and it would be able to see where your car is, and it would be able to give you a narrative of the various places you go through. They're the sort of things that could be developed for here. or even better metrics about how your battery's going, how your car is performing. The display itself is pretty intuitive, so if, for example, I wanted to change the temperature in this car, I can just basically press on it and slide up and choose that as our temperature, which is pretty amazing. But I can actually use the Google Assistant on the steering wheel here. Set the temperature to 22 degrees.
Got it. Changing the temperature to 22 degrees.
The controls on this car are really simple. We have a truncated version of a gear stick with electric cars because there are no gears going from first to second to third, etc. It really is reverse, neutral and drive. And because it's those three gears, there's no handbrake either. It knows if you're going into reverse, the handbrake needs to be off. The same with drive. You just press a P button if you're going to park, and that of course secures the car. It creates an interesting conundrum, and that is on this system, you press forward to go into reverse and you press back to go into drive. I reckon over time they may reverse so that if you're wanting to go forward, you just press this lever forward. If you want to go back, you just press it back. You've got a basic audio control here where you can turn up the volume, you can pause and play music, but you can actually also control it from the steering wheel itself on this side of it. We have an interesting control here where if there's a map on the center screen and we're driving along, we press here and we can move it to the dash and still see what our speed is as well, but it's a lot easier to see where you're going when you just glance down from the dash rather to the center screen. And we're starting to see this on a number of cars these days. The seat adjustments on this are pretty intuitive as well. We have three switches. The middle one is the most important because it's a toggle switch. We can press it up to go up, down to go down, forward to go forward, and back to go back. It's so intuitive. And down here is a memory for those positions. So I can save my seat adjustment position, and then if I've got a partner using the car, they can come and recall theirs. So you can have two people getting in the car, instantly getting the right seat adjustment. Now, if you're in a big family with 3 or 4 people, maybe the kids have to adjust it each time. It'll be good practice for them. But for the adults, you get the instantly correct seat position. The back is pretty roomy. This is not a super big car, so there may be back seats that are a bit more spacious than this, but it's adequate. I've got plenty of room for my legs here. I'm not a particularly tall person, so I'm not a really good indicator for height, but there seems to be plenty of space above my head as well. So I'd imagine a tall person would fit into the back seat. On the back seat, you've got the ability to adjust the airflow, the direction of the airflow, and turn it on and off. There's adjusters here for warming the seats in the back, and you've got a little cap here for 2 USB ports, so you can bring your electronics into the back seat and they won't go flat. Starting off on this car is really straightforward. I just put my foot on the brake like that, select the gear, which is just drive, and off we go. Simple. The thing I like about the Polestar 2 is the simplicity when you're driving. You're not changing gears, you're not worrying about anything other than where you're going. There's no need to change up or down gears. It's easy. Now this car is really made for city and freeway driving, but if you happen to manage to get yourself on a raceway, the Polestar 2 with single motor can go from 0 to 100 in 7.4 seconds. If you get the version with the 2 motors, those numbers reverse, it's 4.7 seconds. One of the really cool things about this car is one pedal drive. You can actually drive it with your foot just on the accelerator, and you won't need to necessarily brake, except of course in emergencies. What happens is when this is selected, when you take your foot off the accelerator, braking kind of cuts in, and the braking actually helps regenerate the batteries. The car is so quiet that when you first switch on the engine, you don't even hear it. You think, have I really switched it on? It's when you put your foot on the accelerator and the car actually goes that you realise, yes, drive is engaged and I can travel somewhere. This $59,900 price is a lot cheaper than the very first Polestar, which was never in Australia. That was the hybrid Polestar, a sports car that cost around 240,000 Australian dollars if you have actually managed to get it into this country. In all, a cinch to drive, so easy that I haven't really got an awful lot to say about it. It's just so straightforward, it's not funny. At the end of the day, the Polestar 2 looks solid and stately. It's a really, really easy car to drive. It's super quiet, although you can still hear a little bit of tyre noise as you drive along. And it's competitively priced. The $59,900 entry price is exactly the same as the Tesla Model 3 current price. Polestar's giving you a 5-year unlimited kilometres warranty. Servicing will be through Volvo agents, initially at least, and there's an 8-year, 160,000 kilometre warranty on the battery as well. Polestar says it's going to actually set up battery service centres. So if you need work done on the battery, or if they need to be replaced or recycled, it'll be through those centres. We haven't seen them, of course, yet here in Australia. The company's brand new here, but that will be there in time. Recycling, using renewable materials is part of what Polestar is going to offer in our market. At the end of the day, the biggest feature is the Google system and the reliance of this car on software. It'll be a bit like your phone. You'll get over-the-air updates, and you'll be able to add new apps and new functionality to how the car performs will come via those over-the-air updates. So the Polestar that you actually drive out of the showroom may be quite different to the Polestar that you have 3 years down the road. This is Chris Griffith for The Australian.